Here it goes. So listen to this, and then I want to have a little something to say.
Why so many people have an issue with the term gentle parenting and the way that people are raising their kids now. I don't understand it. So for the longest, I've been trying to figure out why so many people have an issue
Fair
with
use.
the term gentle parenting and the way that people are raising their kids now. I don't understand it. I don't feel like gentle parenting is a direct correlation between like your kids being disrespectful and walking all over you and all that types of stuff. I feel like, gentle parenting is a space where you create for your kids so that they can feel like they have a voice, they have an opinion, you can help regulate their emotions and their feelings and truly try to tap into what they got going on, right? I feel like when this is done properly, our kids go out into the world. They can be respectful because they have been respected at home. They can choose the people that they feel are appropriate to be around them, the people that value them and respect them and show empathy and all that types of stuff. Now, on the flip side, the people out here who feel like it's cool to just go ahead and backhand your kid in the mouth because they talking back, what is that showing your kid? When you're supposed to hit dogs, when you're supposed to hit old people, when you're supposed to do that. But you're telling your kids that they really get it because, they can just be backhanded in the mouth at any moment with no consequence. So for the longest, I've been trying to figure out why so many people have an issue
Okay.
with.
Now, I was raised by my grandma. My grandma was born in 1928. She passed away 4 years ago. 4 years ago, God rest her soul. Miss her every day, right? Um, she was a yeller by the time I came around, right? I know my aunts and uncles, they got to spare the rod, spoil the child, right? I got tapped when I was little. I didn't really get it as bad as my aunts and uncles. And one of my cousins wasn't also raised by his mom. Both our grandma raised us like brother and sister. So I always refer to him as my older brother. My older brother definitely did not get tapped. He got more than taps. And I can honestly say all that does is make you, number one, more sneaky. Number two, it makes you be able to take that. You know what I'm saying? And then also something that I do with my kids, right? Like, cause I'm a yeller. I can't on like my grandmother. I yell, and I would apologize to my children all the time, and I apologize to them for several reasons, and I also talk to them for several reasons. As I've gotten older, I realized why my grandmother said a lot of the things that she said to me, but I had to learn that by myself. You feel me? So I have a lot of conversations with my children, and I have them not just to teach them, but also for some of the things that she said to make them feel respected, to make them feel heard. I tell my kids shit like, um, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't speak, nobody understands how you feel because I want them to understand that their feelings are valid and that they have every right to speak. I tell them to tell people how they feel, because I'm always trying to pull it. Like it's like pulling teeth to get my daughters to tell me how they feel. But I don't think they understand that that's my way of instilling in them that how they feel is absolutely relevant and fucking important. Okay. I always tell them things like, my oldest, I haven't said it to my youngest, but I have a 21-year-old. Okay, I'm 40, y'all. To my oldest, number one, you're a girl. This is a white man. This is a man's world. Number two, you're Hispanic. This is a white man's world. Number three, you live. Let me say that again. Number one, you're a female. This is a man's world. Number two, you're Hispanic. This is a white man's world. Number three, you come from the hood. Most kids who are raised up in the suburbs just have a better life and better choices than you do. Number four, you grew up in a single parent household. People who grew up in marital homes grow up way have a better chance at getting into college. Also back to the number three, right? Being raised in the hood, there was a study that showed, and this was like back in 2001. I forgot what the study was, but I wasn't taking a sociology class at the time. And that study, and this was years ago, stated that children who grow up in the suburbs over children who grow up in the city automatically by 21 know 100,000 more words. So I told my daughter, you gotta fight 5 times as hard to make it in life because you have all these strikes against you. And it's not being a bitch. It's trying to train my kids. You have to make something out of yourself. It's not about being rich and getting money. It's about making enough money to live your life, not just surviving. Most of us are just surviving. Paying your bills is not living and surviving. Living is being able to pay your bills, take a vacation whenever you feel like it, not after your income tax money. A lot of us are always making plans around our income tax money because we survive life. We're not really living it. There's a difference, and money is that difference. And not that money is everything, but everybody has a bad boss. You want a bad boss making 40,000 a year or making 100,000 a year? Right? So I feel like conversing over yelling and always punishing. Yeah, I think there is something to that because right now my 21-year-old has already broken several molds. I got my GED when she graduated high school. I do not have a college degree where she's already going into her second year and she's getting a bachelor's. She paused to get her real estate license. And she has a lot of dreams and I give her that. I didn't pursue any of my dreams. She's pursuing hers. And I had her 3 weeks after I turned 19, and she's not a mommy yet, and she's already 21. So she's already breaking cycles. So I do feel like conversing with them, it is a big deal over yelling. Also, I'm not gonna tell a lie. When I first became a mom, I was a spanker. I apologized to my 20-year-old profusely over putting my hands on her. And I've explained to her, and I've explained to my youngest two, they're 13 and 11, that the reason why I yell is because I don't know another way of parenting. And I know a lot of people who watch this video are going to judge me as a mother, but the reason why I said that is because I don't want them to hate me thinking I'm just a bitch. I don't want them to grow up and feel like, you know, she was just a miserable person. And which brings me to why I brought up Bambi, right? I think the reason why a lot of people yell or put their hands on their children is out of frustration because we don't have any other tools to parent any other way. Our grandmas, a lot of people romanticize our grandparents' generation. My grandma was born in 1928, and my grandfather was older than her. I don't know how much older than her, so I don't know what year he was born. But if you want to take it back 100 years ago and romanticize that, first of all, think about 100 years ago and how people was living of all walks of life. Hate to bring up race and culture into this, but you might want to rethink how much you romanticize our grandparents and great grandparents' generation. Now, as far as love and marriage, yes, they had love and marriage. Remember, number one, those were the generations where divorce was not an option. Number two, the LGBTQIA community. You think that's something new? Flames Monroe is over 60. Who taught her to be trans? Which brings me back to that generation. That generation, you could not be. So how many people were stuck in marriages with people who were their beards? Right? And then consider work. Our grandfathers worked 50, 60-hour work weeks. So who was at home with all the children? And how many children were great grandparents had? Well, I only know of one of my great grandmothers. She had 15 because my grandma who raised me, her mom had 15 kids. Now, my grandma who raised me, which is my paternal grandma, had 8. My maternal had 12. I have no idea how many of my kids my other grandmas had, but I know that my grandpa Nino had 25 kids. No, not 25. But he had 8 with my grandma. He is rounding off at like 16, 17. And I think he has more that I'm not sure of. And my family, when they see this video, is going to be mad. Not the only one. Grandpa wasn't the only one. Relax. Still love him. Right? Some of our great grandpas was having 20, 30 kids, but with the women, 6, 7, 8 apiece. Imagine being home with that many children. It's already frustrating with 2 or 3, no? You want to judge me as a mother? Okay, if you're not a parent, I cannot do nothing about your opinion. If you are, how did homeschooling during the PAND go for you, love? especially those of you with little kids, especially those of you with little kids who are very rambunctious. Imagine like 8, 9. The reason why they yelled and the reason why they did that wasn't just as a form of discipline, but because it was the only discipline and it was the only way of parenting. A lot of people like to take it to the Bible, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still only one way of parenting. So we should not be judging. I agree with Bambi. We should not be judging the gentle parenting. Maybe there's something to that. I also, as far as when I did put my hands on my daughter, one thing that I never did was put my hands on her face. Because I feel like you putting your hands on your, and I'm not applauding what I did. I apologize to her profusely, and I do not put my hands on my kids. It was something that I broke, right? Something like a cycle that I broke because I'm of the generation where it's expected, right? And the generation older than me, it's something that I stopped doing, and I apologize. And even to this day, and my daughter's always like, "It's okay, ma, it's okay," and it's not okay. I was telling her it's not okay, and I was telling my children it's not okay, and they always tell me, "Ma, it's okay" when I yell at them, and I was telling them no, it's not. And I always tell them I apologize because if I can apologize to a stranger, should I upset them or disrespect them, then I can apologize to y'all. And that's also why I apologize to my children because I don't want to teach my children that I can apologize to anybody in the world but them because they don't deserve it. Or because I just don't respect them. Or because they just not worth being respected. You see where I'm going with that? How you see how that spirals into different thoughts? So I mean, so I agree with Bambi with the gentle parenting. I'm not a, I'm not opposed to the whole gentle parenting. To be perfectly honest with y'all, I'm talking really fast because I don't want to keep y'all here for so long. You know what I'm saying? And then it takes forever to upload this video. I'm being